Have you ever found yourself sitting alone in a quiet room wondering, is this really what the rest of my life is supposed to feel like? I know that feeling all too well. At first, moving into a nursing home seemed like the smart thing to do. Safe, structured, full of help whenever I needed it. But the truth? I had no idea what I was walking into. If you're watching this, maybe you're thinking about moving into one, or maybe someone you love is already there. Either way, I want to talk to you like a friend, honestly, openly, because there are things no one tells you until it's too late. Things I wish I had known before I packed up my life and handed over the keys. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness, about having your eyes wide open before making one of the biggest decisions of your later years. Because yes, there are some comforts in a nursing home, but there are also 6 hard truths I learned the tough way. And today I want to share those with you. Let me take you back to the first few days. Everyone smiled, the staff was polite, the halls were clean, but it didn't take long for that polished surface to fade. The first hard truth hit me quicker than I expected. You lose your independence faster than you think. At home, I decided when to eat, when to shower, when to nap. In the nursing home, that freedom quietly slipped away. Meals came on a schedule, lights out was expected. Even my morning coffee, served when the kitchen was ready, not when I was. No one was trying to control me, but it still felt like I was no longer in charge of my own life. And that subtle shift, feeling like a guest in your own day, can wear on you. Then came the second truth, and this one hurt. Loneliness doesn't always disappear when you're surrounded by people. You'd think living with dozens of other seniors would mean constant conversation, friendships, laughter. But what I found was different. Many residents were dealing with memory issues or limited mobility. Conversations were brief. Some days, the only person I truly talked to was the nurse checking my vitals. I missed my old neighbors, the clerk at my favorite corner store, my weekly chats with the postman. Those tiny interactions you don't realize matter until they're gone, and it's not just about the people you miss, it's about the sense of belonging. In my old home, I had a garden. I had my chair by the window, I had roots. In the nursing home, everything felt temporary, like I was just passing through. Now, don't get me wrong, I met some wonderful caregivers, but the routine was designed for efficiency, not for joy. It's no one's fault, really. It's just how the system works. But when you're in your 70s or 80s, and every day starts to feel the same, you begin to question if this is really what aging with dignity looks like. I say all this not to scare you, but to prepare you. Because if you're considering a move, or if someone is gently nudging you toward one, you deserve the full picture. You deserve to know what life might really feel like behind those clean hallways and well-lit lobbies. We've touched on the loss of independence and the surprising loneliness. But there are more truths to uncover, realities that might just shift how you think about your next steps in life. So we've talked about losing your independence and the quiet loneliness that can sneak in even when you're surrounded by people. But those were just the beginning. What I didn't see coming, and what really started to wear on me, was the third hard truth. Your sense of identity begins to fade when everything familiar is stripped away. At home, I was still me. I had my books, my favorite mug, the painting my granddaughter made, the smell of my own cooking in the kitchen, all those tiny things that quietly remind you of who you are and where you've been. But once I moved into the nursing home, I had a single room with neutral walls and a few drawers. Sure, they told me I could bring personal items, but you can't pack a lifetime into one corner of a room. And when everything feels generic, you start to feel generic too. You stop being John or Marie and start becoming Room 218 or Mr. Walker who needs help with meals. You're identified by your needs, not your stories. And when staff turns over regularly, and believe me, it does, you find yourself explaining who you are over and over again to people who are already juggling 10 other tasks. Now let me tell you about the fourth hard truth, one that most people don't want to talk about. You may get care, but not always compassion. Don't misunderstand me. Many caregivers are wonderful, truly. But the truth is, they're stretched thin, understaffed, overworked. And when someone's juggling meds for 15 people, laundry for 10 more, and paperwork on top of that, you stop being a person and start feeling like part of the process. I remember one night I wasn't feeling well. Not an emergency, but enough to make me uncomfortable. I pressed the call button. It took over 30 minutes before someone came. She apologized, kindly, but the damage was done. That moment, lying in bed, feeling helpless, wondering if anyone was coming, that was when I realized I wasn't just being cared for. I was now dependent. And that's a scary shift. And there's another layer to it all that's harder to explain, but even more important. The fifth truth: your world shrinks faster than you expect. Days blur, meals repeat. You see the same hallway, the same chairs, the same faces. There are activities, yes, but they often feel like filler. Bingo, puzzles, maybe a movie night. It's fine, but not fulfilling. You stop having goals. You stop making plans. You stop thinking about next week and start focusing on just getting through today. That's the part that got to me most. Not the food, not the routines, but the loss of momentum. The feeling that life was no longer unfolding, it was simply settling. I don't say this to sound bitter. I'm grateful for safety, for the roof over my head. But I wish someone had told me all of this before I made the move, because maybe then I would have thought harder about what truly matters. Not just safety and care, but purpose, autonomy, connection. The truth is, aging isn't just about needing help. It's about protecting your spirit, your joy, your reason to wake up and look forward to the day ahead. We've already uncovered some heavy truths, and yet there's still more to share. More I wish I'd known when I had the choice. By now you've probably sensed it. This wasn't just about a building or a bed. It was about something deeper, something harder to name but impossible to ignore. That brings us to the final hard truth I had to face. Regret doesn't hit you all at once. It creeps in day by day in the quiet moments no one sees. It's not the big things that break you. It's the little ones, like waking up and realizing you no longer have a front porch to sit on. Or realizing it's been weeks since you had a real conversation. Not just small talk, but one of those chats that fills your chest with warmth. You start to miss your kitchen table, even the creaky floors you used to complain about. You miss choosing your own groceries, watering your plants, even doing the dishes because it meant you still had a rhythm, still had a reason. And if you're like me, you start wondering, could I have made a different choice? Could I have tried harder to stay in my own home a little longer? Reached out to neighbors, looked into help coming to me instead of me going to them? Because here's what they don't often tell you: there are other options. Home care isn't perfect, but for many of us, it's enough. And it preserves something a nursing home just can't: your environment, your memories, your routines, your space. What I regret most isn't just that I moved. It's that I didn't pause long enough to explore all the paths. I made a decision based on fear. Fear of falling, fear of being alone, fear of becoming a burden. And that fear led me to trade too much, too soon. But let me be clear, this isn't about shame. If you're already living in a facility or if someone you love is, this isn't meant to criticize. Every situation is different. Sometimes a nursing home really is the safest, most compassionate choice. Sometimes it's necessary. And when that's the case, I believe it should still be a place of dignity, love, and connection. But if you're still on the edge of that decision, or helping someone who is, this is your chance to slow down, to ask the harder questions, to look not just at what's easiest right now, but at what will feel right 1 year, 5 years, 10 years from now. Because here's the hopeful part: it's not too late. Whether you're 60, 70, or beyond, you still have a say in how you live. You still get to choose what kind of life you want. It might take effort. It might mean getting creative. But it is possible to age with independence and support, to keep your spark and get help when you need it. If no one else has told you lately, let me be the one to say it. Your life is still yours. So talk to your family, explore your options, look into community programs, in-home care, aging in place. solutions. Stay open, but also stay firm in protecting what makes you feel alive. And if you've already made the move and regret it, you're not stuck. You're not too old to reimagine your life. You are allowed to want more. If this message speaks to you, I hope you'll share your thoughts in the comments. Your story could help someone else make the decision that's right for them. And if you found even a bit of clarity or comfort in this video, consider subscribing for more honest, heart-to-heart conversations like this one. Remember, it's never too late to choose joy, to protect your spirit, to live life on your terms. Here's to living fully, boldly, and on your own beautiful terms at any age.